If I take a dump on this paper right here and I hand it to y'all and I say, can you test this dump and tell me what's great, what needs to be improved? There's only some, I mean, you could put powdered sugar on it or spray paint it, or no matter what you do, it's still going to be a turd. Come on, you piece of junk. It's Hawg, baby. So the look on DM's face right here, the very beginning, this is how I feel about anytime we talk about Diablo at this point. So this video is Blizzard's last chance to save Diablo 4. Before we even get into it, I hadn't watched it yet. I want to react to it. I like DM stuff. I don't think there's any saving Diablo 4. It's already fallen off the cliff. But let's see what DM's got to say on the subject.
Diablo 4 is at a critical point in its development. There is no secret that since the launch of the game in June, Diablo 4 has had a roller coaster of a reception. In fact, I think it looks something like this. The game originally came out to reception that was fairly high until it dawned upon everyone, myself included, that there is core fundamental parts of the game that are not fully realized. For instance, itemization would be one of these. We also had a lack of an end-game loop that was very exciting. So the reception started to go downhill until it hit a point right here where they decided to, in pre-season 1, nerf everyone's power. That was very...
Okay. Let me show you what I saw in my community. Okay, here's going to be a Hawg first. You know I can't stand paint. The hype is best represented as Mount Everest. This is, the left side will be pre-launch. So hell yeah, Hawg's all excited. It's building. Oh my God, it's about to be June. Oh my God. Then the game releases. And then it's fun, and then it starts falling off. And then, see, I had a lot of PoE guys from PoE come over and give it a try. So right about here, this first, just that right there, that's where all the PoE guys leave. And then it starts trickling off, and then it's bad. And then here comes the patch. The killing patch. It all falls off. Season 1 comes right here, falls off again. Season 2 comes in, some people play, and then, bah! That's what happened. When you sell 9 million copies of something and only about 100,000 players actively play the game, that's Mount Everest.
Made players feel not only like there's a lack of things to do, but when they logged into their completed characters, they felt even worse than they did the day before. This plummeted the reception until season 1 was launched, and people originally had something to do. There was an apology going with it saying that nerfs, don't worry, we're not going to do these major nerfs.
They never actually apologized. An apology is saying, we are sorry for doing this to you. La la la. They didn't apologize. All they did was come out and reassure us it wouldn't happen again. Well, of course it ain't gonna happen again because this patch, ooh, it's triggering me. This patch is what kicked off the battle pass. You had to have something to lower your damn power all the way down and then gain it back through seasons. Of course, we already did a video on this, and everybody remembers all that shit that's going on. That's why the patch happened. They could have left the patch alone and give us more power, but we would have blown through the game because the game is boring and it's too easy and it sucks.
Again, they apologized for it. People seem to accept that apology, and then people once again realized that season 1 is just malignant tunnels, a few legendary powers, and the reception started going downhill again. Now, we did have Diablo 4, in my opinion's biggest W so far has been Season 2. That is what this is right here, where they had a good season. Not only did they add into Season 2 things to do, so we had like Blood Tide, which was a good leveling experience, actually brought players together in a Blood Tide, had decent loot associated with the Blood Tide, but you also had powers that came, like a seasonal mechanic, which the vampire powers were very well received. You got sort of that power fantasy back that we had lost with the...
It's very hard to even use the word power fantasy with Diablo 4 after you play Path Exile. Pat, you want power fantasy, you go play Path Exile. There is, I mean, I was even thinking about before the season 1 patch came that killed everything. I had a juiced to the absolute tits druid, and it still took, what is that, shred? Yeah, Yeah, it still took 3 shots to kill one fucking monster. It's not power fantasy. In my armor stacker Scion, I can wipe the entire screen with 1 shot. That's power fantasy. Diablo's lost power fantasy. Diablo 2, you have power fantasy. In Diablo 3, you have power fantasy. This ain't power fantasy. This is sell you some fantasy cosmetics is what this is. Lilith 1. Ain't no power fantasy. Come on, DM. You know, but you've been playing Last Depot, man. You play PO. You know what power fantasy is. Come on, bro.
Pre-season nerfs here, so people started to feel strong again, and on top of it they added new bosses into the game. You had Uber Durio, which was fun to farm because now Ubers are an option, but then people realized, wait a minute, Uber Durio actually isn't fun to farm. The in-game loop here is just farming materials and things like Hell Tides, which
I tried to say this when it first came out, and everyone fucking attacked me again like, oh, well, Hawg, shut the fuck up. Of course, it's an ARPG. You farm to farm. This game's a chore list. You put out a chore list of things to farm to open up a boss you get to kill 1 time for a opportunity for something to drop. Mostly it's going to be Mickey Mouse or repeat shit that you already have. And then you do it all over again. So the only experience I had in Season 2, my community begged me to come try because it was a lot of fun and Duriel was there and la la la. So I downloaded it, played a druid, got in the high chair, still had the same fucking problems that I had to begin with. The game ain't fun because the fundamentals of the game are fucked up. That's what it is. It's not the itemization. It's not the end game. It's not the game sucks because it does not meet the standard of a Diablo game. I mean, you can't even passively regen resource as a fucking druid. It sucks. If you have to go hunt for one aspect to make your character work completely, that sucks. In Path of Exile, there's hundreds of ways to get around one problem. Not in Diablo. This game is garbage. Why am I even doing a react on this game? I have broke the fuck up with this game so hard. So that's what I saw with 2. They begged me to come back. I got sidetracked there, sorry. They begged me to come back. I came back, downloaded it for a minute. We played like a couple hours of it. We ran like 2 Duriel runs, and I was like, hell yeah. And I messed around with my buddy Ebi, and I went, Ebian, more Duriel. And he was like, oh, Hawg, it's going to take fucking days to farm enough mats to run a bunch of Duriels in a row. And I'm like, oh, so we're back to where we were at the beginning, but they just put a different skin on it where they're trying to artificially keep you in the game because there's no Path to Exile doesn't have to artificially keep me in the game. I spring up out of the bed like the Undertaker. Path to Exile time! That's how you know this is a shitty game. Because they tried to force you to stay in the game. Instead of just coming up with some good stuff. Y'all, let me tell you something right now. This game is dead as fuck. They took the Primevals out. They're going to sell you Mephisto back in the first expansion, Hatred. They're going to sell you Baal in the next expansion after that. It's going to be called Vessel of Destruction. Then they're going to sell you Diablo at the very end. It's going to be called Vessel of fucking Terror. Okay? That's what it is. It's Rod Ferguson special. He takes everything out and then sells it back to you. This game is a cash grab. Stop playing it. Stop covering it. Make them fix it. The only time that anybody comes back and covers the game is to view farm. Does nobody realize that? Rax is playing Last Epoch and PoE. DM is playing Last Epoch and PoE. Those 2 are some of the biggest Diablo creators out there. They are official Diablo creators. And they're not playing Diablo. They're playing the competitor ARPGs. Boop. The game is dead. I repeat, the game is dead.
Was another poor reception in terms of, okay, you get to the in-game, and now the in-game loop is farming materials to be gate-kept by those materials in order to do the boss. So we had an initial spike of, this is fun, and then the in-game loop started to get boring again as people got pigeonholed into just farming. And then we had the release of Season 3, which was probably the most poor reception of any update we had seen in Diablo 4 to this point, and that was by the same team that had made Season 1. They actually have teams that leapfrog each other, so Season 1 makes one.
It doesn't make any damn sense why they do this collective bullshit. It really sucks. It's almost like they're trying to compete to see who gets fired. Like it was interesting to me because I watched something on the Manhattan Project a few weeks ago, and it was talking about how Germany was setting up their nuclear project. And instead of having all of the best minds in the country come together as one and work on their nuclear program, Germany divided them into two teams and had the two teams compete against each other to see who could come up with the best bomb. Well, did Germany ever come up with the bomb in World War II? Nah, we did. So that's I found that pretty interesting. And that's the same thing that Blizzard's doing, having two competing collective teams instead of just bringing all your guys together. It doesn't make any sense. And that's why I say it's not going to get good again. They can't get on the same page. There's nobody there that leads the team with a vision. Their vision is farm us for money. That's their vision, and they're doing a great job at it. As long as people still cover the game, and as long as people log on to see what the season is, they're going to continue to provide this bullshit mediocrity. Imagine if we didn't all log in for one season. Because I know DM's fixing to probably talk about the PTR, which ain't going to matter, because if I take a dump on this paper right here and I hand it to y'all and I say, can you test this dump and tell me what's great, what needs to be improved? There's only some, I mean, you could put powdered sugar on it or spray paint it or spray Febreze on it or, you know, maybe put a cigarette in the piece of shit or, you know, put some eyes on it, you know, try to put some glitter on it, maybe some fish bait. I don't know. No matter what you do, it's still going to be a turd, right? And the platform that this turd is sitting on is going to be covered in shit and not able to support anything. It don't matter how much you dress it up or how much you let people test it. If you have a shitty idea, like a robot hand crawler that follows you, it's going to suck. Sucks to suck. I really think they've lost their mojo. And you know why? Because it was Blizzard North's mojo, and all that mojo's gone to GGG.
1, 3, 5, etc. And the team that made season 2 is making 4, 6, 8, etc. So season 3, it's some poor reception. And they realized that they needed to change things based upon the feedback. They added some changes to the patch in terms of rewards and the mechanics of the vaults, and they changed the pet up a little bit. This seemed to be better, well received, and then Gauntlet at least gave you something to do and sort of flatlined it. Now you're going to look at this and think, okay, what is this giant spike up in terms of reception and goodwill by the players? Well, this is the potential. We are currently right here, ladies and gentlemen, in the timeline. This is where we are right now.
I usually agree with DM, but I'm not going to this time, and that's fine. I still like DM. I'm just going to disagree on this point. I would have agreed a couple months ago if Last Epoch had not released and had the massive success that it's had. And then looking at all the Diablo comments on their various social media stuff, official stuff, the game is dead. The franchise is dead. People are still calling for Diablo 2 Resurrected changes. People are still calling for Diablo 3 season updates. Nobody gives a shit about this game. And the guys that do, you know, I'm going to trigger Grumpy with this. The game sucks. And it's fine for, they love this dad term. I guess Asmongold termed that or coined that. It's not dads. It's guys that don't know how to play these games or have never played. That's the core marketing base they're trying to get to. If you've never played a Diablo game and you don't know what to expect, and you played Call of Duty and you're a mainstream gamer that doesn't invest into a bunch of builds or doesn't invest into theory crafting or doesn't give a shit about chasing items, this is the perfect game for you, and you'll find it fun as hell. Hell yeah. But if you're an ARPG player, if you're a classic Diablo player, if you like playing hard games, if you like having a challenge and an end game and a game that you can get on over and over and over and over again and always have something to do, something to look forward to, something new to try, some new thing to experiment with, this ain't the game for you. And that's why all the PoE guys came over here to try it, because Turd Ferguson said all this stuff that was going to be badass about the game, and none of that came to fruition. So they all left. But the PTR is not going to change anything. The minds behind the game have to change. The game director has to change. You have to go from a director that likes talking out of his tunnel and likes money, and he like rolls around in money and is like, oh yeah, the souls of the Diablo players and all the money that I'm making. Versus somebody like Chris Wilson, who's a passion project. Path of Exile is a passion project. That's why it's so great. That's why Diablo 2 was so great. It was a passion project. Diablo 4 is a cash grab, money manufactured scam. That's what it is. It's not meant to be a badass, long-lasting game. 9 million sold, 100,000 still playing. Do the math. I went to Georgia Public Schools. Isn't it like less than 1% of the player base is still active that bought the game? DED, dead. The game is dead. Doesn't matter what they do. You're still going to have to realize you're going to buy 3 expansions. Nobody realizes why they took the Primevals out of the game. Everyone's like, where's Diablo? They're going to sell that motherfucker back to you. We've got to just leave this game alone and go play something else. Go support the companies that actually care about you and your feedback. Go support GGG. Do you know any and everything you buy in Path to Exile transfers over to Path to Exile 2? You could spend $1,000 in PoE 1. It all goes to PoE 2. Did you know Last Epoch actually cares that you like their game? But that's why I disagree with DM right here, because Last Epoch, and you want to know why I say that? Go look at all the Diablo creators that play it. Go look at Rax running through the Gauntlet and going, fuck this, I'm going to play Diablo. Go look at DM playing Last Epoch and then going back to PoE. Diablo 4 sucks. If Diablo 4 is a great game and could be saved, Rax would still be playing it. Yeah, I've covered a lot of Rax, as y'all know, in my damn career so far. The man would still be playing it if it was a good game. It just ain't, and I don't think there's any saving it. When all of your creators have stopped playing the fucking game, there ain't no saving it. There ain't no amount of testing or anything that can save it, in my opinion, because it's already put a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It's like going to a Chinese place, restaurant, and getting bad food, like bad egg drop soup, and you were on the toilet all night. Are you ever going back to that restaurant? Even if they say we tested everything? No, you ain't going back.
Now, and that is because they have announced that the most requested change in all of Diablo 4 is about to be revealed. If you look here, it says, tune into our next Campfire chat, the public test realm revealed.
This is so
March 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific. All of the major dudes from...
They literally, y'all, I hate to keep pausing this. They literally fool everybody. They act like this is the greatest thing that they've ever done. Oh, praise us. Here comes the PTR. You stupid motherfuckers. You had a PTR in Diablo 3 for years and years and years. And you act like you didn't know that we needed a PTR? It's been part of Diablo since I can remember, at least Diablo 3. We had a PTR. But nope, everybody's like, hey, where's the PTR at? Because we're used to having a PTR. Again, it goes back to when you have Diablo 3. And then you make a successor to the game. You take everything that you learned in Diablo 3 and you apply to Diablo 4 and you build on top of that. That's not what they did. They did Diablo 3.0, 3.1. You remember Windows 3.1? Diablo 3.1. And they're going to live service develop it over 3 expansions to Diablo 4. That's what they're going to do. The PTR? That don't impress me much. No. You had that shit in Diablo 3. It should have been implemented in the very fucking beginning. And that's what they're going to do, is make y'all think they're fucking great by showing off, oh, look, we listen. You didn't need to listen. We told you that 10 goddamn years ago. And again, it comes back to Rod Ferguson. If you hadn't seen my video on how he destroys franchises, you need to go watch it. This all boils down to Rod Ferguson. Oh, Diablo 3 had 10 years of development. He sound like me out there making a stupid-ass comment. You take the 10 years development, you already do it, and then you add on to it. But they're not capable, and it boils down, it's just a cash grab. So they're going to make you give them a pat on the back. Oh my God, we listened to y'all. Then the White Knights will come out and say, look, Blizzard's listening, but you'll still have no end game. You'll still have Mickey Mouse-ass characters. You'll still have a MICKEYMOUSE skill tree. And you'll still do the same basic skill bullshit. Chop, 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 cast. You'll still do that bullshit. The game sucks.
From the Campfire
Good
chats
video,
are
DM.
going
You
to
got
be
me
there
triggered.
in order to detail the massive itemization changes coming to Season 4. They will discuss affixes, item stats,
Massive
the codex
itemization changes. You know what the massive itemization changes are going to be? They're going to remove that bullshit like hit when your pants are down on Sunday after you took a shit after eating corn nuggets. Like, that's what they're going to take out, are those longer modifiers. Damage taken when cold on a Tuesday morning on a full moon. That's the kind of shit that's going to come out. And that's it. They're not capable. They don't have, the code's not fixed. And the game is not capable of even holding an additional stash tab. So how is it going to be completely reworked? The team can't even make a good season, let alone rework the entire itemization. Oh, we're going to have a lot of fucking detractor content to make on this game. Hell yeah, the Codex of Power. Delete the fucking Codex of Power.
power in the new in-game systems that will change the way you slay and loot across both the seasonal and eternal realms. Itemization and in-game have easily been the two most, I would say, controversial, but really everyone agrees. It's the most discussed point in the game at the moment. There's the meme of damage on Tuesdays because the affixes don't feel good to acquire. Yep. It's an ARPG in which the loot that you get.
And I'll tell you what really sucks, and no one's calling this out, and it really annoys the shit out of me. The base game needs to be fixed. And so I'm going to talk about Druid. If you were a Druid player, you understand. If you were to take Druid, Necro, Wizard, Barbarian, let's just say those 4 classes, line them up with no armor, no nothing, no gear, all at level 1, and make them move, the Druid is the slowest player in the game. If you were to line all those same players up and cast an attack skill, every single one of those characters, except for the Druid, would passively regain resource, except for the Druid. I hate it. I fucking hate it. So the character that you want to choose from the beginning is automatically crippled. And so if you want to play with a group of people that are playing those other classes, you are automatically the slowest one. You're never on screen killing the pack, and you never have resource until you find this rare ass fucking ring. Well, I don't even remember the name of it anymore because I don't give a shit, because I don't have none of these problems over in Path to Exile. I don't have a 60-second, 120-second cooldown. I don't have no potions for mana or resource, whatever the fuck they want to call it, spirit, blood. I don't have any of those problems at all. I don't have to worry about it. But over there you do, and that's why the game's painful, and that's why people get bored, and that's why people don't want to do it. Because, yeah, the campaign in Path to Exile is a pain in the ass to go through, but that's just because I'm new. This game is a pain in the ass to play regardless. I want to have fun with people, not be mad. And when I get into, I've done it multiple times. It ain't just a Hawg problem, it's a Druid problem. And they won't fix minor things like that. And then the glaring problem is the end game. There's no end game. None. Zero end game. And so then they're like, oh, the most requested thing was a PTR. No, the most requested thing is more end game.
Never actually makes you excited. And because they were able to salvage this Season 3 after the very harsh feedback came in quickly all over the place, they have now decided that what they're also going to be doing is putting these changes onto a public test round. They're going to discuss how to access our first public test round in Diablo 4 available to PC Battle.net users. This PTR allows you to get your first taste of the changes coming to Season 4. We'll listen closely to your feedback to make adjustments before the season arrives for all. They're basically doing this to avoid another Season 3 fiasco of horrible negativity coming out from
They
the
needed
beginning
to
because
have done
it was a pretty
this
negative
from the
launch in
beginning.
order to make the game better. They're just going to have us look at it, see if there's feedback that needs to be sent, etc., before the season even launches.
I know DM didn't play Diablo 3, so I don't know if he's familiar with PTRs, but you usually get the way it worked in Diablo 3 is you got X amount of days, I think it was 5 days, and they gave you a bunch of caches that had seasonal items, powers, and stuff like that you could play with, the new powers they were adjusting and all that. So you could actually build builds in the PTR. It was basically the new patch, the season patch, on a separate server. You just went in there and did whatever you wanted. They gave you all the stuff you needed to test those builds and test everything. It's actually really cool. And it was great for content creators too, because you kind of see what's coming up. I don't know if it'll be like that at all on this. I don't know. That's just what I assume it'll be. But again, it's just a pat on the back chase. They've known since launch they should have a PTR. And if they didn't, they don't deserve to have that job because they're super fucking incompetent. Any basic designer should know people that play the series, if it was in the game last series, they're gonna want it again in the next series. And then Rod steps in and goes, "We'll sell it back to him."
Now, while the PTR is cool, I do believe that it took them quite a long time. I mean, the game's been out since June, and very quickly after that, people started to send the feedback about itemizations. It took them that long in order to get the itemization changes ready to present. So even with feedback sent, unless it's minor tweaks, I doubt we're seeing an entire overhaul of this. So at
we
this
will see
point,
that on one of the expansions.
What we see is probably pretty close to what we're going to get with some minor tweaks.
This is literally following the Diablo 3 roadmap. If you played Diablo 3 on launch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Shit game delivered. They'll wait a year, give you an expansion, give you a character, fix the game. Oh, look, we did good. And they'll continue to update it, but this time will be different because you've got 3 primevals to sell back, but you know, we already covered that.
Much how like when we saw Season 3, they were able to make it feel more enjoyable just by upping the loot, changing the pearl quantity, etc. We didn't actually change the entire fundamentals of the vaults. They just made them feel more enjoyable. I'm assuming that the feedback sent about the itemization changes will follow some similar regard. Now, you might say, okay, DM, but remember here, after the launch of Diablo 4, you said that there were 2 major issues. There was core fundamentals about itemization that was lacking, but there was a core in-game gameplay loop that was lacking, and the Uber Durio, while being fun, eventually got boring. So the best case scenario is not only do we see itemization changes, but we see some in-game addition or changes as well. Now, for me personally, no matter how many D4 bad videos you may see that we all laugh at, I do actually believe there is a significant amount of people that want Diablo 4 to be good. I myself am that way, and I've said this many times, that I hope the game is good because I have a YouTube channel that covers it. I also live stream the game as well. I'm not going to play it when I don't like it, but I would hopefully like it in the future. So I myself have hopium, copium, whatever you want to call it, for the itemization changes that will be quite good. And I have a feeling that a large amount of people that watch this feel the same way. I don't think people are actually out there rooting for Diablo 4 to go to the ground so they can be like, yeah, it's now officially only has 52 players left or what have you.
I am. You know why? Because I've got egg all over my fucking face. I'm going to tell you why. I rooted hard as fuck for that game, and I defended that fucking game, and I was the fool that didn't see everything. And when Rax started talking about 17 damage, I was fucking pissed. And I'm like, man, this is bullshit that the fucking biggest goddamn creator out there, official sponsor creator, can talk shit about the game and nothing happens. I was pissed because I'm a fucking redneck and nobody wants to touch me with a 10-foot pole. I'll never be a fucking partner with anybody. No one will ever do content with me. No one will ever fucking let me be a part of their creation team or any of that because they're all fucking scared of me because I tell you how it goddamn is. I fucking defended this game. Every time Mr. Llama came out and said it's pay to win, or somebody came out and said it's this, or somebody came out and said it's that, I defended the fuck out of it. And then what happened? The support your streamer fucking shit happened. Yeah, you remember that? where they put me on the list and then took me back off about 2 hours later and acted like it never happened, and I had to go to fucking war with them, and then they put me back on the list. Then they released the fucking game, and it flopped my entire fucking channel based on this fucking series, and Rod Turd Ferguson comes in and pollutes it. Go follow the shit on Facebook. Go follow Diablo on Facebook. You know what? I'll show you their last post. This is the kind of bullshit that our franchise has turned into. It used to be about killing demons with big fat tits and shit hanging out, and gore and evil and badass good versus evil. And now it's about my coworker's crying about his toxic ex. A subtle way for them to sneak sell you some figurines. They won't improve the goddamn game that we all spent hundreds of dollars on, $100 on, but they'll sell you more fucking cosmetics. $60 horse. Next it'll be $80 banana hammock with the Diablo on the front where your cock is. I'm so sick of it. So yeah, I root for the game to fail because they don't give a fuck. They didn't give two shits about taking all of our money, giving us every item in the beta to act like we had some badass game. Oh my God, if we get this in the beta, think about what we're going to have. And I was that guy. I told my community, I was like, damn, they're giving us these kind of customization, these character customizations in the beta. Imagine what we're going to get in the real game. And then we get the real game. The beta was the game. We got fucking robbed. And all the white knights and the official creators and all this are just huffing this goddamn copium that this company that literally doesn't give a fuck about anybody and has turned this franchise into a cash grab and is going to sell you 3 expansions and just brought in their CEO, who's the ultimate queen of microtransactions. It's Bobby Kotick's sister, basically. And you've got hope that they're going to fix the game? The ideas that they come up with are season of blood, season of robots. My 10-year-old cousin could come up with better ideas. I root for it to fail because it needs to. They don't get it. After years and years and years and years and years and years of having the game, they still don't get it. And then you can go over to Path to Exile, FREE, free game. It's got like 20 fucking end games. And don't come at me with, they've had 10 years of development. Diablo 3 had 10 years of development. You take Diablo 3 and you apply everything that you developed in Diablo 3 to Diablo 4, and then you add on top of it. So don't even go there in the comments with that horse shit, because I ain't going to listen to it. Because if you think PoE 2 is going to come out as a base game, and you think that Jonathan Rogers is going to say, we're sorry, please give us 10 years of development, it's not going to happen. So no, the game's dead. It ain't coming back, no matter what anybody says. Maybe after 4 expansions, but guess who ain't gonna spend no more money on it? This guy right here. I ain't spending a goddamn dime of my money on this. It's not even installed. The greatest joke so far I've heard in 2024 was Rax the other day said, Hawg, you played the Gauntlet? I said, the Gauntlet? Huh? I said, brother, I would have to re-download, reinstall, re-level a tune, because I ain't played this season, just to get to the Gauntlet, to play it one time and go, this is trash? Is this sponsored by Waste Management? No. This is a great video. It always triggers me to react and get all riled up and shit. But no, I'm not doing it again. DM didn't go through this with Diablo 3. I did. DM's fairly new to the Diablo franchise. I ain't. I've been playing this game since 2000. I played Diablo 1, Diablo 2, Diablo 2 expansion. I played Diablo 2 before the expansion was even out. I had a giant clan back in the day. I've had every character at 99. I ain't doing this shit again. They got me. Enough's enough. I play PoE. So yeah, huff all the copium you want. Think it's good all you want. That's fine. Don't matter to me because I'm having fun. That's really what it boils down to. If you like the game, fine. Pisses me off as a, like some people are like obsessed with trains. That's how this franchise was to me. Badass franchise. Amazing franchise. Had a special place in my childhood, special place in my heart, and they polluted it. It's like a beautiful spring, and then here comes the fucking trash truck loaded with toxic waste, and Rod Ferguson's driving. Beep, beep. He's looking out the window going, like a villain on the damn superhero movies.
There we go.
And he backs up to this beautiful spring pond, and he pushes a button, and the whole back ass of the fucking truck just dumps all the garbage and oil and hazardous waste, whatever you can think of, just pollutes the whole damn pool. That's what happened to my franchise. That's why I root for it to fail now, because it ain't the same goddamn franchise that I grew up playing or dedicated tens of thousands of hours. I don't even know how many hours I've put into this fucking game. Covering all this shit and all. Yeah, my channel, it sucks. It sucks that it failed. Because it hurt my channel. But you know what? I found a good game and we'll just rebuild. Because I ain't no pussy. I don't give a fuck. And there's people that unsubscribe from my shit every day because I post a PoE video. Okay, cool. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to cover the games I like to cover, and I'm not going to continue to feed money. I'll be a detractor for it. I'll cover it, the dumpster fire, but I'm done. I'm done. There's only so much that you can waller out my asshole, and then I tap out, and that's at this point.
Have you? I think the game legitimately has people who want to log in and play it to feel like they currently cannot in its state because they just do not enjoy it. So because those people exist, I think Diablo 4 has one last chance if they show some really good.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask everybody something. How many chances do you give something? How many chances, especially after you paid with green leafy spending money that you have to work to obtain in this economy? How many chances are you going to call a plumber that fucks up your house 4 times? Are you going to give him another chance? No. Are you going to give a roofer that fucks up your roof 4 different chances? No. Are you going to give an auto mechanic 4 different times to try to fix your shit? No. Stop. They're not ever going to actually get serious and fix the game until we all stop logging on for this mediocrity. And everybody knows it's mediocrity. Everybody knows it. And until we all come together and have some sort of fucking standard. And this is why sometimes creators hurt things instead of helping them. If we would all stop farming it for content. So I'm guilty of it too. But if you'd stop, I don't log on. If you'd stop logging on to the game, not giving them the fucking numbers that they want to see, they would be forced to actually make a real change. But nothing is going to change because everyone's still going to log on when the season drops. Everyone's still going to log on when they do their mid-season thing. Do y'all actually think that Gauntlet was delayed on purpose? Or on accident, I mean? No, it wasn't delayed on accident. It was delayed on purpose. They've got to have their mid-season thing to bring you back in. They need the monthly active users count. I've talked about this 100,000 fucking times, and everyone still doesn't realize it. They could have easily given you that Mickey Mouse Gauntlet on launch. Rod Ferguson is the biggest liar in the video game industry. They could have easily put that in for you. No, they needed you to come back. They needed Last Epoch to launch, and they needed all that shit to do, and then they needed everybody to come back, which they knew they would do, and play their little Mickey Mouse. So they got their numbers so they could go to their boss and say, hey, guess what? I got my numbers that you asked for. If you don't give them that number, people start getting fired. And that's what needs to happen. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills sometimes.
Changes to the feedback that have been sent basically since the launch of the game, they have a chance to bring some of those players back in at a minimum to try it, or at least to get into PTR and see what they think. And if those players give it 20, 30 minutes to try it, they might actually end up enjoying it if they execute it well.
That is the worst possible thing that you can do to a live service game. Just try it. It still gives them the number. Jesus. I just want them to actually get serious about a game. Go play the other games. You'll see what serious developers look like. These developers are a joke. They used to set the standard. Now they're the bottom of the barrel. And every time you log in and you give them those numbers, they get a pat on the back from the fucking boss because that's all they're looking at. That's all they're looking at is a sheet of fucking numbers. Oh, look, we had 10,000 players log on today. Must be doing good. That's the goal that we needed to reach. You all keep your jobs.
And if they enjoy it, they might stick around to see what Season 4 has to offer outside of just itemization changes. And if that goes well, those people might be interested in buying their expansion pack. And the only reason I say that is because the stance I have had on the expansion for Diablo 4 is one and the same. I'm not willing to give more money to a product that I feel the core fundamental product is flawed. I'm not going to buy a turbo kit for a car that has an engine that already has problems with it. So they need to fix the core fundamentals of the game first. This has always been my opinion. And if they do so, they might bring enough goodwill back from the players to look into their expansion. So
I mean, hashtag real talk. You're going to play the expansion. You might not buy it. They're going to give it to you to play, but you're still going to play it. I hate what this fucking game has turned into. I hate it. And people will nonstop keep fucking putting the game out there. The game is Lilith 1. The game is nothing what it should be. The game doesn't have any of the fucking lore that it should. The new players, semi-new to the franchise, Diem's an immortal player. He's an immortal player. That's not a knock. That's the game that he's familiar with. It's not really it's a Diablo game, but it's not really a Diablo game. The true players don't consider it, right? So Diablo 4, if you look at it from a Diablo standpoint, it's not a Diablo game. Doesn't have Diablo, doesn't have Mephisto. Well, a tiny touch of Mephisto, and doesn't have Baal. They're going to sell it back to you. Why the fuck do if I bought Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, and they had all the primevals that I'm used to and all the lore that I'm used to, why do I need to buy 3 expansions to get all that back? I'm not doing it. I'm not. That's it.
Not only is it good for the players and in their best interest for them to actually have itemization and in-game changes to be good coming into this PTR, but it's also in Blizzard's best interest to fix the core fundamentals of the original game if they expect the consumer base to be willing to hand them even more money on a product that has problems. So honestly, I believe this Campfire chat right here is the most important bit of Diablo information that we will be receiving since the launch of the game. I think this is more important than the BlizzCon announcements where they talked about the Gauntlet leaderboard. I think it's more important than the little art they're doing for the leaderboards, any of the other type of stuff.
That's so
this
funny.
is easily the big...
They're doing it the day before. They're doing their little Mickey Mouse Campfire chat the day before the launch of the PoE announcement for PoE 2 and the new season, Necropolis. Nobody cares about this.
Information that we will be receiving since the launch. The biggest change or announcement since the launch of the game, because it's not only going to show what's coming to the game, but it's going to show if players can have hope in the game's development. If the itemization releases are very poor, people are just going to lose faith entirely and no longer even care about the game. But if people...
What's that old saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Something like that. How many chances are we going to give them? Copium City to think season 4, because it's season 2 team. Season 4 is going to be great, y'all. Just stop hoping the cuff. Just stop. Just stop hoping it's going to be good, because it ain't. It ain't. And we've all experienced good games, whether you're a Last Epoch player or a PoE player. That's what I'm seeing. You're playing Last Epoch, or you're playing PoE. There is one guy that I know that's playing Diablo 4. And that's because he's trying to build a YouTube channel around it. I'm sure he'll react to this video too. Even my most hardcore Diablo guys, including my buddy Ebian, we're now playing Path of Exile. Imagine that. Big shout out to DM. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Y'all go check him out. Of course, everybody knows him. He's famous. See y'all next time.